maybe. Hello, everybody.
Yes. Hello.
Woo.
I think it's becoming a trend for us to have technical difficulties.
Yes.
But that's okay.
I don't know why, too, because I am very nice to my Alexa, and I say please and thank you, Siri, in every AI that I use. So I don't know why technology hates me.
I was about to say I say that to my Alexa as well, except that I used to live with an Alexa, and now I don't.
Oh.
Because now I live alone, and I don't like the idea of Alexa listening in on everything that I do.
Maybe.
But when I did live with an Alexa, I would say please and thank you every time.
Yeah, I even taught my girls to say it. They're like, "What's the answers to homework?" And I'm like, "You got to say please."
It's just a polite thing to do.
It is.
Y'all are way nicer. I'm always arguing with my Alexa because it doesn't listen. Like one time I asked for it to play some song and then it pulled up some like Beethoven symphony and I was like, that was not what I asked for because I think it was Cardi B. So I don't know how it got that.
Cardi B, Beethoven symphony. It's not
we're
that
always
different.
arguing. Always arguing.
Well, just a little side note, I'm not looking away from my screen to ignore people. I'm still trying to get this to work. So I'm on my phone. So if you see me looking away, I'm paying attention. I'm just still trying to get easier access. So I'm not shaky screen.
So that you're not on your cell phone? Yeah.
You should just tell everyone you were writing your next book. That's all you need to say.
Yeah, that's all I need to do. Yeah, I'm
too focused.
What's the weird reality story that we're trying to do?
Just doing some research while we're talking. That's all.
Yes, yeah. Well, welcome to Blondes, Books, and Campfire Tales. I am Bethany. We have got Crystal this side. I'm still figuring out this mirror effect. We have got Sylvester up here, special guest right here. Thank you, Sylvester.
In case you want to know, I am not blonde. Not at all.
I mean, you never know. There's always a chance. Your goatee could be a lie.
That's true.
It's a blonde wig on.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. Yeah, Mike's saying that we were late and he was starting to get bored.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. We had technical difficulties. We will try better. I mean, we always try better next time, and it still happens. Okay. Technology is technology sometimes.
I think in the title, it's blonde, okay? Books and
okay.
I mean, that's true. Like, you have two blondes trying to work technology. What do you expect from us?
On the show.
Wow.
But anyway, thanks for still joining us, Mike. Definitely, we appreciate you being here. And we are talking about Candyman this week.
Woo! I love me some Candyman.
Oh yeah.
I haven't called Bookface.
It's all Bookface's fault.
It is. So I watched the first Candyman, and I'm almost done with the second Candyman, but I kind of know what happens, and I kind of figured it out. But that's kind of all I got, besides the fact that I know it started from a Clive Barker book, like a short story.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that. But what about you guys?
You can go, Sylvester.
Oh, well, Sammy Davis Jr. is a Candyman. He is one. He's within our mythos. But you guys went a little deeper than me. I've seen the Candyman sequels, and I solely watched them for Tony Todd because those stories are terrible. But the first Candyman, I love it. I have like a distinct memory of my sisters tormenting me with it. So like when I grew up in the projects, so a lot of the horror movies that I saw or that I was afraid of, I kind of like rationalized things like Freddy couldn't get me because I didn't live on Elm Street. Jason couldn't get me because I was never going to camp, and Michael just wanted to kill his family members, so I was good. But Candyman, when I saw the scene with the park bathroom, like my bedroom window was right across the street from the park, so I could see the bathroom from my window. So that's when I knew I was gonna die. So
That's when you knew there was no question. It just was going to happen.
I'm on. So like Candyman's just always been like near and dear to my heart. So I love Tony Todd and I love Candyman.
And I've definitely been in some park bathrooms that remind me of the one in the movie. Like,
oh yeah, and it's crazy. Like I'll walk right in. I'm like, this is real Candyman-ish. I'm just looking around. Yeah, it's those bathrooms that you don't want to touch anything at all.
Right?
Yeah. They have the little luminous light up top that flickers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spider web in every corner.
No,
Yeah.
And a mouse on the floor.
If the light is flickering, I'm not
Yep.
going. I'm just gonna hold it till I go home.
That one.
Mm-hmm. Like somebody's waiting for me. I have no time for this. They could catch somebody else.
Right.
Well, I was excited to talk about Candyman because I don't know if you caught it, Sylvester, but last week we talked about Bloody Mary. And as we were talking about Bloody Mary, we were realizing like the similarities with Candyman. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what got us talking about this. And I was like, oh, Sylvester, like he's all like, and I'm like, I got him. Like,
yeah, I definitely believe, I didn't read the short story like Crystal did, but I definitely believe that Clive Barker just like took the Bloody Mary urban legend and kind of morphed it into his own with his Candyman rendition. So and I'm hyped about that because Bloody Mary creeped the hell out of me too. So that was like the instant connection where my sister was telling me what Candyman is. Like, oh, you have to say his name like that. I was like, oh, Bloody Mary. Oh my God.
Well, because if Bloody Mary it can happen, Candyman can obviously happen as well. And it's just it's a different ghost, so it's slightly different version. But actually, I think you said with Clive Barker with the short story, the ritual to summon Candyman isn't in the short story. That's purely from the movie.
What?
But Crystal,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So with the short story, if anybody's interested in finding it and reading it, it's written by Clive Barker and it's in his Books of Blood, I think volume 5, but I might be wrong on that. I want to say if it's not 5, maybe it's volume 3. I guess I could check my Kindle, but I'm not going to right now. But the short story is actually called The Forbidden. The character is still called the Candyman, but there's no summoning ritual, and it's very surface level. It's a very surface level story. It really is. It's a short story. It's not a Stephen King short story that's 100 pages long. It took me less than 30 minutes to read it. I'm not the fastest reader, so some people it might take less. And it's just very, very surface level. Helen is a grad student. She goes to Cabrini Green. She's doing a study on graffiti is what she's actually doing a study on, not on urban legends. And she finds the Candyman graffiti with his face and the doorways, his mouth, and it says the sweets to the sweet. But there's no summoning. There's no rash of murders that can be pinned on her. She just kind of gets like obsessed with it and keeps going back. And at the end, he comes around and it's that whole be my victim. And the ending's different, but she still dies in the bonfire. Spoiler alert.
See, I can see what Clive meant about them adding extra stuff because like I would be kicking myself too if someone was like, let me use your short story, and then it's just like they added all this mythos to it. And I would be like, I should have thought about that. Like I'm rewriting it. I don't care.
Like the short story doesn't go into the mythos of Candyman at all. It speaks of like the cult of Candyman and his followers, which that is mentioned in the movie, but it doesn't go into a mythos at all. And Tony Todd like just created this amazing mythos, honestly, for the movies.
Yeah. Tony Todd brought that character to life. It was really, it felt like, I don't know, like kind of like a gothic romance horror. Like he was just so seductive and just like we lost somebody. Oh, she's been kidnapped.
She's trying to connect on her laptop.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's just like
The device isn't connected, so I'm waiting.
he was so seductive and just so like alluring to Helen that it felt like it was kind of like this gothic romance. And then, you know, he was like murdering people too. So
yeah. Bethany, are you there?
Yeah, I don't have a picture though.
nope.
I noticed.
Okay, I'm gonna go back on my phone and I'll keep working on it.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was like, there's no picture, but maybe she can hear us and talk.
No, I was so excited for a hot minute, and then it's like, nope, we're just gonna keep messing with you. So let me go back to. I'll be back, guys.
Okay. So
Continue.
basically what the movie basically brought all of like the key aspects that make Candyman what we know of him today. They gave him his son of a slave backstory, falling in love with like a rich, prominent white person's daughter, and how the townspeople like did not like that because she fell pregnant. Yep. And then they just kind of like hunted him down. A whole lynch mob affair. Cut off his painting hand because he was a magnificent painter, and covered him in honey. Left him there for the bees to eat him, and it was just it was like, I don't know. Well, I mean, I do know. It's like it's just sad. It was like,
oh yeah.
At first you see him and he is this kind of like ominous force, and he's this bringer of death. And then when you learn more about him, you're just kind of like, well, I mean, he's bringing death for a reason. Like, I sympathized with him. Like, kind of like when you found out Cocaine Bear was a mother. I sympathized with her.
Poor Cocaine Bear, man.
Like when you saw she had cubs, I was like, she's not just there for the cocaine. She's trying to take care of her kids.
He's trying. I haven't seen Cocaine Bear, so thanks. No.
I want to talk about Cocaine Bear for a second, but I do want to acknowledge I agree with Mike. Where's Landa? She apparently gave up on us with our technical difficulties. Sorry, Landa. But no, cocaine, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure the cubs in the movie were made up. I mean, most of the movie was made up because the real bear
the whole thing.
Like seconds.
As soon as the bear ate the cocaine, it was dead.
Yeah,
there was no murder rampage.
No, it like ate the cocaine and died. But but the cubs were really cute in the movie. They're just rolling around in cocaine.
Yeah, they were on cocaine too. Like.
I think that Cocaine Bear, the movie, added great mythos as well, if we're talking about adding mythos.
Yes, the adaptations that create more than what they were given are always amazing.
Yeah, you take like the base of something and just create it into something so much bigger. Yeah. And they definitely did that with the movies. And I mean, Candyman really is a tragic figure, and maybe not based specifically off of any one person, but very much based on the history of our country. Like, so many people could slip right into Candyman. Like Emmett Till, for one. And I'm sorry, it's been a long day, so he's the first one that came to my mind, and my brain is breaking. Because there's so many more. I can't think of the name but of the person, but the guy that was accused of saying something to a woman in an elevator that started the Tulsa race riot.
Oh yeah.
Sorry that I'm not remembering his name. I'm not a historian, you guys.
The whole Black Wall Street thing. It's just so it's so crazy when you really dive into American history, because these are things that they don't even teach you, even in Tulsa. Because my friend, she grew up in Oklahoma, and she said that like the Tulsa race riots was just like a paragraph in her textbook. And it's crazy. It's just things that they try and like just force out of the consciousness of America. But these are things that happened, and these are things that shaped a whole nother community. Like things like redlining and with public swimming pools, they were segregated. So black swimming pools, all the black families went there, but white people would always vandalize them. Or there's like
Mhm.
one image where you see this white man throwing acid into the swimming pool. And because of things like that, black families were afraid to go to public swimming pools, which kind of generated this whole stereotype of black people not knowing how to swim, because we didn't have the luxury at the time to just go to the public swimming pool and learning how to swim, because they were always terrified for their lives. So it's just like things that happened in the past definitely trickled into the present and have shaped the black community. And you see that
Mhm.
through like Candyman. You do, because like
Mhm.
what pain he went through, he brought it throughout the decades to Cabrini Green and to the world. So
Well, it's
Yeah.
almost like the second movie where they go Candyman is a hive. It's not just one person. It
yeah.
started, with him, and then it just kind of
Mhm.
certain
Mhm.
time it was someone else who kind of took it over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I really like that they did that. Like, so
Yeah,
when
I
you said
did.
the second one, I was thinking you actually meant Candyman 2, which I couldn't find anywhere. But
No, sorry.
I think you meant like the one
The
that they just
remake, yeah.
did. The remake, which the remake was fantastic. Or it's not really a remake. It's really
Yeah,
a
it's a
continuation.
sequel. It's what, a spiritual sequel, they say. That's what they
Yeah.
call it. Yeah. So
But
yeah, I
yeah.
definitely loved that. I loved the aspect that the Candyman was different for each generation. And
Mhm.
they were basically birthed out of brutality against black bodies or black people. And it is because it's traumatic, because like you get online and you see these hashtags and you see these stories about innocent black people just being murdered, and then you have kind of like people arguing whether or not they deserve to die. And
Mhm.
it's just like, this is our present. This is just something the black community always faces. And for the new Candyman, I thought it was beautiful that they showed that every generation we have this tragedy,
Mhm.
and it morphs into this monster. So
Well,
Yeah.
what I thought was interesting was how he started with his art, and you had the critic there, and the critic was like, he's going into
yeah,
it and talking about it, and the critic's just like, it's the same old, gentrification, all this stuff,
yeah, mhm,
same story. But then it turns around where it's like, well, it's the story because it's still going on,
mhm,
stuff's still happening, nothing's
mhm.
changing, which is
Mhm.
why Candyman keeps coming back, because
Yeah,
nothing's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
my
exactly.
right there.
yeah, definitely never forget the past, especially because I don't I don't think we are learning from a lot of the mistakes that have been made. Because
Hmm.
we are like it's not just in the movies that it's repeating. These things literally are happening today.
Mhm.
Hmm.
They're these, I can never pronounce his name correctly, but um so I apologize. I should never try to mention names, you guys. I'm just sorry. But running through a neighborhood, like, and being hunted down for being black while
Mhm.
exercising. Like,
Yeah,
these things literally still happen today.
it does.
And it's really a comment on our history, it's a comment on our society as it is. And while Candyman may not actually exist, that hurt, that pain, that fear is a very real thing.
Mhm. Yeah,
And yeah, it's a lot. It makes you
yeah,
think. And I think that's, you're like, it's a scary movie, but it's a scary movie um with a message, and it
mhm,
makes you think, and like, what can I do? You know?
yeah.
But
Especially like when you look into the past, it's hard to, you look into the past and it's, the country was built against the black community. There's so many cases of like eminent domain when they just
mhm.
came into big black communities or black communities that are thriving, and then the government was like, no, we're going to take this to make Central Park, or we're going to take this to make Lake Lanier. And it's just like, it's so crazy how they just pushed people out of their homes. And like, some people weren't paid, some people were paid, some people, but you had to just get up one day and just leave just because they told you. And it's crazy.
Well, speaking of paid, and I'm kind of jumping back into like the Candyman story.
Mm-hmm.
The original one, I thought it was interesting that the gangs who ran the area, the production company had to get permission from them. And then the only way they got permission or acceptance basically was if the gang members were extras in the movie, pretty much to give them protection.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a pretty interesting
tidbit.
This goes to show that, you know, it kind of relates to the message still. Yeah. Like, you want to film a story and talk about stuff. Yeah, we know it's a supernatural horror story, but you're still kind of telling our history. So
yeah.
And you're asking to come into where we are, and you're going to make millions of money, like millions of dollars off of this. Like, and you're telling our story. Yeah. So like, we want to be involved. And,
especially since they use like a real murder in the Candyman movies, the whole Ruby case where she was in her bathroom and she said someone was coming through her mirror. That was the real murder in the apartment complex that they based Cabrini Green on. So yeah.
Which, how horrifying is that? I'm really glad. Well, I don't have a medicine cabinet in my bathroom. But I'm really glad that I don't have that my bath where a medicine cabinet would be doesn't share a wall with another apartment. like it was crazy because like she was I guess she wasn't fully there. I think she was like mentally ill a little bit, but she called 911 and she was like, someone's trying to break in through my mirror, and they're like, okay, you're crazy, and they didn't come. And then when she stopped showing up places, her neighbors was like, you need to go check on her. And then the police showed up and someone broke through her mirror from the other apartment and killed her. And they believed it was gang violence. I think she was supposed to be like a witness to something. So, but
what I liked about the second one was that they relayed the story of the first one in it. And you can see, it's almost like when you tell stories, it's the game of telling. And you can see how many things change. And if you look at the story that they retell of her from the first movie, from what actually happened in the first movie, there's so many things, like how she was, she killed the Rottweiler and was doing angels in the blood.
Yeah.
You know?
That part was kind of funny. She was making blood angels.
Yeah, because like that's how the urban legends go. It's like you're telling them verbally. Like, I remember I was deep into urban legends when I was like in junior high school. And it's like, you tell them verbally and you're adding to it, or you forgot something. So it's like, and then the microwave exploded, or there was 3 kids and they were headless. And like, I was just, urban legends I'm fascinated by urban legends, because especially when you find out that a lot of them come from some fact or some event that really happened. So.
Yeah. And like the whole, like, speaking of like the urban legend quality and how it changed, like I did think that was really interesting. And they're like, oh, and she was trying to take the baby into the fire instead of
going in to save the baby. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, I definitely thought it was very realistic of what happens with urban legends, for sure.
Axel.
Hi. Oh, hi, Axel. He's like, I just got in from work. I don't want to talk to you.
Well, time I was texting him and I'm like, I hate technology, like all caps.
Wow.
Now, 2 things about the second movie. Okay, one, I love that. I'm going to say his name, Coleman Domingo. I love that he was in the second movie. And then 2, the second one, it's almost like the story of Candyman, kind of like the original legend, like it's evolved so much. And I felt like it had a very Freddy Krueger vibe, because they were like, oh, who's Candyman? And then once they started telling the tale and spreading it, like Kruger, like that's how it spread.
Yeah.
But then kind of mixed in like the razor blades and the candy, which is just a completely different tale, or urban legend there, kind of mixed in. So it's interesting how when they talk about in that movie, there's more than one Candyman. So maybe with each Candyman, there's a new legend that gets added on. Type.
With
so
the
like, man, they're dipping stuff, but then I'm like, oh, okay, kind of like it kind of goes.
Yeah. With the newest one, I thought it was, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird that maybe I would do it, but I don't know. The mom not telling Anthony that, you know, you were kind of almost burnt to death in a bonfire by a crazy lady or maybe Candyman. Like, I feel like that's a conversation that we might need to have. I feel like that's part of the stranger danger conversation. They're like, by the way, you were kidnapped once.
I don't know if I'd go into all the details if you were kidnapped and almost killed, but maybe be like, yeah, this did happen. And maybe someday when they're like older, but I wouldn't tell a kid, you almost were burned to death.
Yeah, I'll leave that part out, but I'm definitely telling them you were kidnapped. You were kidnapped by this lady that I thought was really nice, and she was not.
Well, but then when she came in at the end of the movie, she did say and tell him that no, she actually saved you.
Yeah, yeah, she did tell him the truth.
Yeah. So she's like, no, like she saved you. It wasn't her that almost killed you, because she was like really kind of the only one around that still knew the real story at that time.
Yeah, because everyone at the bonfire, once she came out with the baby, they understood that, you know, Candyman did this and because they were there to witness it. So that's why I felt like she should have like talked to him. But you gotta talk to your kids, or they end up, you know, recreating Candyman. That's what happens. Okay, you gotta tell your kids things.
Yeah. Because she didn't tell him, and then he became the new Candyman.
He became obsessed, and then he became the new Candyman.
But it's kind of like that torn thing, because okay, I'm gonna go off on a tangent right now. As like a parent or a part-time parent or step parent or aunt, uncle, like you never know what you're going to say to your kids that's going to mess them up.
That's
okay,
true.
Like you could think something's completely harmless and it will mess with their brain forever. Okay.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, okay, so in this one, she didn't tell him and he became Candyman. When you look at the Terminator, she did tell him and trained him, and he was still messed up. So, like,
Sean Connor, he was okay.
So it's like, with Terminator, it's kind of like, oh, well, did he become that because she basically
exactly.
Yeah.
Intuition.
But see, with that mom situation, she ended up in the loony bin, so that's why he kind of like negated a few of the things that she.
Then because they were not on board yet. We'll do Terminator on another episode, okay?
I'm just saying, he was kind of like, my mom's kind of nuts. She once told me, but see, with this one, your mom's right there. You've seen her be stable. So, I mean, like, if she said, hey, there's this guy that came out in the mirror, you just give it. I feel like there's a way to tell them. But yeah, you're right. With my son, like, I'm never sure what's going to mess him up or anything. Like, we used to watch ID or invest. Yeah, we used to watch like Evil Lives Here and things like that. Yeah, before we go to bed. And then he started having night terrors. So I was, and for the life of me, it took me like 2 days. I was like, why does he keep waking up screaming? And then I'm like sitting there watching ID. I was like, you know what?
Maybe this isn't what we should watch right before bed.
Yeah. So we started watching Rugrats.
There you go.
There you go. And personally, so I watched not Candyman 2 because it's not really available anywhere, but I did watch Candyman 3, and one thing that I did like, it was not that great, but one thing that I did like that all of the movies do is that they made the art a big thing.
Yeah, that's when she was like, she worked at a gallery and things like that, or no?
Yeah. So Candyman 3, it's about his like great whatever granddaughter, and she she had his collection of paintings. So yeah, they showed it at an art gallery.
Okay.
And one thing that I noticed that they incorporated into this new one is, as part of that, they did have like some other stuff set up, and they had a mirror set up where it was like, say his name. And then you see that again in the new one.
Oh, we're talking about the recent one. I thought we were talking. I got confused.
He's going back and forth between.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like, yeah, sorry, in Candyman 3, like art was a big part of it, you know? It was his art that was a big part of it. But then they also had the like side thing, and it says, oh, say his name. The movie itself was not the best, but like, I just thought it was really interesting and kind of cool how like they still kept those themes running through all of the movies. And I'm sorry if I jumped topics.
Oh, no. But I do love the art aspect, and I do love how, because like sometimes there could be like a small part of the character's backstory that you find intriguing, and then they just never visit it again. But they did carry it on throughout Candyman in the form of graffiti, in the form of his great granddaughter having a showing, in the form of Anthony being this artist. And I enjoyed that, because it definitely, and especially with the Black community, it shows a whole different aspect of things, because like it took a while for people to even think of graffiti as art, when it is art. It's just a whole different canvas. Like it's art, it's skill, because there's no damn way that I can do that. And especially when you see it high up somewhere, I'm still trying to figure out how they do things.
When you're like on a busy interstate, and it's on the overpass, and you're just like, all that's around is like more road. There's not, and it's not even like there's ground next to the road, because you're already on an elevated road, and you're like, what are they doing? There has to be ropes and harnesses and all.
Yeah, they had to hang themselves
there has
from
to be
something, and that's dedication, because there's no way I'll do.
Okay.
No.
I tried to hop back in, but I was giving Axel my Chipotle order, and that's why I was.
I mean, dinner's important. I'm not judging you for that.
But I do it on my phone because I'm on my phone, so I had to type it on my computer, and then I accidentally hit enter, and I went down a whole rabbit hole. But I jumped in on what you guys were talking about, and all I got was billboards and steep roads and hanging, and I'm very
Chipotle took over her mind for a second. It's fine.
We were talking about how graffiti is art, and then we kind of fell into how do they get up on top of the high overpasses of like highways and stuff to do their graffiti.
Oh, like on the billboards and the board.
Yeah, how they. Well, I know how they get on the billboards, but when it's on the bridge, and they just.
They like Mission Impossible that stuff.
Yeah, they have to. I'm like literally imagining them in like a whole harness get up with like somebody's belaying for them. Like, how else are you going to do it?
And you know, someone when they're going down, they're all dun dun dun. Like they got that going through their head.
Yeah, you gotta have the rope, the paint. Then you gotta pick a specific time, because you can't just go at any time. So like we'll meet at like 3:30 in the morning. Like it's dedication. Like
when no one's there.
Yeah, give graffiti artists their due, because they do some amazing work.
Yeah, it definitely has to be between like the time the bars close and morning rush hour starts.
Yeah,
because I feel like the road is too busy any other time. It's just way too busy.
Go to work, okay? Because I go super early.
I mean, I've had to be at work at like 4 a.m. before, so I understand that. But like, I mean, the roads are never going to be empty.
No,
there's. Oh my gosh, my cat is being so loud right now. Sorry.
Well, I mean, sometimes, because like in 28 Days Later, they filmed all those London scenes like early in the morning before the roads were like filled, so it would look deserted and stuff.
So they didn't like shut or anything?
No, they couldn't.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't. They just did it early in the morning.
Oh. Yeah. My
car.
theory on like subway cars and trains that get painted is that it has to be at the train yard when they're not moving.
Yeah, when
It
they're
has to
parked.
be.
Yeah. I don't think there's no amount of dedication that's gonna have me outside a train in the tunnel or whatever spraying it. No. So it's gotta be at a train yard.
You're like, here
Yeah.
comes a tunnel. I need to jump back in really quick.
Yeah. Asking them to pass me another can. No, I don't know. Not at all.
That's
Yeah.
some possibles right
Yeah.
there.
That's just that's the only way that works to me is
Mhm.
there because even though like subways and stuff do run 24 hours, not every train does.
No.
Like they would overheat.
They go to the yards and they like
Mhm.
stop for maintenance and things like that. And then sometimes like they'll stop and it'll be like to switch drivers. So sometimes the train will kind of be parked in the subway tunnel for like maybe like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Well, to get back on Candyman, I have like a little side thing also with that. I know that we have something coming up, hopefully, with the Weird Realities that has to do with an actress who was in Candyman 3. And I don't want to say her name yet, just because I don't know what's official or anything, but I know that Hadley posted it about this actress who's really excited to talk with us and do something with us.
Cool.
Yeah, and when I looked up her history, I saw Candyman 3. So I was like,
oh wow.
I looked up her history and I missed that. So now I'm going to have to go back and look at that again.
Yeah.
I looked up Candyman 2 and I just realized that the mom from the OC was in it. And I saw that movie years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, Seth's mom's in Candyman 2? And I think she's the main girl.
It's really funny like how that happens. You're just like, oh, it's like before they were like their most recognized role.
There is so many people, like I guess like that's kind of like cutting your teeth on the industry, but there's so many people that have done horror movies that like really? Oh
yeah. I mean, Johnny Depp, you've got Jennifer Aniston in Leprechaun, you have Kevin Bacon, like look at all these
Anna
people.
Faris, and she was in that Hookman movie. We talked about that one in our Hookman episode.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
I love it. I love spotting people in there. Like, what was it? No, was it Ben Affleck or Matthew McConaughey? One of them was in my boyfriend's back. The one where your boyfriend dies and comes back,
and he's a zombie.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a long time.
All right, I have to look it up now. I got IMDb up.
Okay. Yeah, you already have IMDb up, so you can pull it up. And Nicolas Cage was in around that same time. Once Bitten. I think that was more of a comedy. Yeah. But it was a vampire movie.
Wasn't his first one Fast Times at Ridgemont High, though?
Who, McConaughey? I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it was Matthew Fox and Philip Seymour Huffman. That's who was in My Boyfriend's Back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh gosh, and like it auto corrected to My Boyfriend's Dogs, which is apparently a movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like that's weird. Okay, well, good to know.
Oh no, and Matthew McConaughey was in it. He played guy number 2 in the movie theater.
Guy number 2.
So I mean, he was credited. That's
So one thing I found that was really funny with, well, I guess not funny, but interesting was, and I'm blanking, and I don't want to type in IMDb because my autocorrect is messing up on me. Who was the main actor in Candyman? Who is Candyman?
Tony Todd.
Thank you. Okay. He actually said that I want $1,000 for every bee sting. And by the he had 23 bee stings.
Yeah, because he had real bees on him and in his mouth and everything. And he wrote it into his contract, which I thought was genius. Like, that's some forward thinking. Like, but yeah, Tony Todd is like, I don't know. I love Tony Todd. I love them in the remake of Night of the Living Dead and everything. I just love Tony.
Well, and what's cool is he came out openly gay as well. And he was in an interracial couple, a relationship. And then that's what they did in the second. Well, okay, the special sequel, is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Okay. Where
I'm just saying the new one.
interracial couple.
Oh yeah, the brother and his were they married or was they?
No,
I think they were just dating.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they were just dating.
The
Yeah.
brother was my favorite character in that whole freaking movie. He was just awesome. He was the best supportive brother ever.
So supportive.
He
He's just like,
was.
you need to leave.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, you need to pack your bags and leave because my sister deserves way better.
Yep.
Mhm. And that's what you need. You need family that's like supportive, but not like always in your business.
Overbearing, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the moment shit hits the fan, they're going to be like,
Yeah.
I got this. I'm taking care of this.
Mm-hmm.
We're not letting this happen. I'm getting you out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Like that's the way a brother should be.
Yeah, most definitely.
Sisters too, but
Yeah.
in a different way.
Sisters too. But I think sisters, well, I mean, I don't have any sisters. I have my sister-in-law, who's basically my sister, but
Yeah.
it's I don't have like that, like growing up having a sister, like, so I don't know if it's the same as with the brothers, but I just know that my brothers made sure I never had a date in high school.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I'm the youngest of 9, so I got brothers and sisters.
Holy smokes, 9?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Hey.
I was a baby.
You have the whole experience, brothers, sisters.
Well, they were kind but they were kind of like in and out the house. Like my youngest sister graduated high school when I graduated kindergarten. So like my mom had me when she was like, yeah. Oh yeah. So my mom had me when she was like 40 something. So there's a big age difference between me and my sibling.
I just turned 40, so
yeah. But but like I said, they introduced me to Candyman, so they still tormented me. They enjoyed it sometimes. Right? Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're not letting this age difference. I mean, I'm sure, especially your youngest sister, after being the youngest for so long, she was like, "Oh, now I have somebody to torment."
Yeah, yeah. Because I remember when I went into the bathroom, the light switch for the bathroom was on the outside. So I went to the bathroom, and the light switch went off, and all I heard was Candyman, Candyman. And I'm just sitting there having a little breakdown, crying.
Like, that's such a weird place for the light switch to be. I would hate that because my brothers would have done the exact same thing to me. If they could have turned the light off for me, yeah.
But I never thought that was an issue until this happened. Like that never came into my mind as a child that someone would do this to me. I was just like, oh, the light switch is outside. Okay.
It's just a normal thing until it becomes a problem.
Then after that, I was like, leaving the door open, my back to it, whatever.
Now, one thing I liked in Candyman 2 that I don't feel happened in Candyman 1, we're talking about just the 2 right there, not the 2, 3, 4, that stuff.
Yeah, okay. I knew what you got.
Was that in the sequel, whoever said Candyman in the mirror was actually attacked, whereas like in the first one, if you said it in the mirror, you weren't always attacked. Hence the main girl. And that was almost like a romanticized relationship he was having with her. Like a ghost in love, not ghost in love, but like
ghost.
He was trying to seduce her. In a really weird way, he was trying to seduce her.
He was trying to bring her to his side. I felt like if you think of it in the terms of the new Candyman, I felt like the old Candyman was definitely kind of like what Freddie was doing, using her to build the mythos and spread his name, because I felt like maybe he was in a point, because when she went to Cabrini Green, nobody wanted to talk about Candyman. So he probably got to a point where no one was calling his name as much. And then he's just like, oh, well, here's Helen with her nosy self. Let me use her. But and then,
yeah, he even said that, where he was like, live in infamy by basically being part of my story.
Yeah. But they did do that a little bit in the new one, the second one as well. Because with Anthony, like he did call Candyman, and Candyman did kind of follow him around. And like with the journalist, we assume that she said it, but they never show her actually saying it. But we do assume that
bathroom, the critic.
Yeah, the critic. Yeah, the critic.
Candyman's also tricky too, because like they make you think that you have to be right in front of the mirror in the bathroom saying it, but like in a lot of the sequels, I think it was like periodically they kept saying it, and it would be said in front of the mirror until it was as many times for him to show up.
Yeah. So leading on with that, the main character in the second one, you said his name was Anthony.
Yeah.
His full name, I was reading the trivia. They say his full name 5 times in the movie, and when they say it on the 5th time, that's when he takes over as the Candyman persona.
Oh, that makes me want to watch it again and see that.
Oh, wow.
Like,
pick up on that. That's cool.
What it does.
They definitely used reflections a lot. Speaking of like how you don't always have to be in front of the mirror, because there's always, there's like the window, and like if you're watching the reflections throughout the movie, like you see little glimpses of things throughout the movie. And can I just say this like is not really important, but it totally threw me off. The Universal Studios thing came up and it was backwards, and I was like, what is going on? And it took me like 3 different like slides to go, and I was like, oh, mirror image. Okay.
Yeah.
So the studio actually had a lot of complaints about that, because people was an error with the film. And so I'm sorry, not the studio, but a lot of the movie theaters were dealing with people complaining theater thinking something was wrong with the film with that.
But it's like for a minute of film time. Like
when I saw it, I was just like, oh, this is awesome, because it clicked, and it was mostly because a lot of their marketing was like the bathrooms in some of the theaters, they had mirrors and there was like black lettering saying Candyman all over it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh.
Movies was super cool, and they really got into it.
So.
Yeah.
But I like
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say in the second one, because we were talking about mirror image and stuff, and it's only because I literally like turned it off as I was trying to figure out my iPad thing. In the bathroom scene where you had all the teenage girls saying Candyman, and then you had that one girl who came in afterwards and she was hiding in the bathroom when all the girls were being killed. There was a scene where the compact mirror falls on the floor.
Yeah.
And you see a bee land on it. So she sees the reflection of what's happening, and then the bee has a mirror image, and then the bee takes off, and the image of the bee flutters around the compact and goes back to Candyman. And I was like, that was really cool.
Yes. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wasn't thinking about it, but I definitely wanted to talk about that. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like the bee kind of became like a separate entity in the mirror. And you could see, like you said, it went back to Candyman. And I like how he didn't come after her in the stall, because like she didn't have, like, I feel like he probably knew she was there.
Yeah, but he's like, she wasn't involved in it. You didn't do anything. You're just here. So
yeah.
But in the first Candyman, he went after the people she may have called Candyman, but he went after the people she wanted him to go after.
I don't know. Did he? Well, like he went after her best friend. Like,
well, she caught it because I think it was kind of like that. They were saying it in the mirror, and then Helen said it last. But if you watch the movie, the best friend says Candyman again at some point in a reflection. Right. So that puts her on the hit list.
But but I just don't think Helen wanted her to die.
I don't think she but though. The psychiatrist was like, yeah, there's no such thing. And she was like, okay, well, I'll prove it to you. Yeah. And she Candyman, and Candyman kills the psychiatrist. Which I feel
I felt like that was also part of like building the myth, because like at that point he's just pinning shit on her.
Like, he is. Like, and that's one thing I liked about the first one. Like, it's just because you don't see him a lot in the in the killings, and she always keeps ending up with the things, and it's like he's a spirit. He seemed like he was kind of weaker, like Bethany said earlier, like his story was kind of fading out. So he was weaker. And it's like he's using her, and it's like, okay, he's the one doing the killing and it's pinning it on her, but it's like it makes you question, it's the spirit doing the killing, but since he's weak and she's blacking out and waking up in these areas covered in blood with these knives in her hand, is he like possessing her and using her body to do some of those murders?
I've never thought that.
That can go along lines with the second one where it's the guy that I like from Fear the Walking Dead. I changed pages, so I forgot his name. Sorry. But he actually hid at the beginning of the second movie. So it's kind of like, would he have become doing all those actions to bring Candyman if he didn't have that infliction on the beginning of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like the guy who ends up, the kid at the beginning who ends up owning the laundromat later on.
Yes. Yeah.
If that didn't happen to him, would he be so fixated on creating another Candyman?
Exactly.
I wonder
Because he definitely was.
Do you think that, like, for him being that what happened, like creating a new Candyman was for him like releasing the old one? Like maybe in his head he felt like he trapped this man as Candyman, and
because
another one needs to come
built for him.
Yeah.
He never met Candyman, and he never said Candyman.
Yeah.
But I almost like he was jealous of not becoming a Candyman. Like he was
I don't know if he was jealous, but I do think like he did feel guilt because like his scream is what brought the cops to the Candyman of that time.
Yeah.
Right.
And they beat him down.
Later on. Like, I don't feel like that was guilt though. Like that was just psychotic.
Oh yeah, what he did at the end was definitely, but it's like it's an obsession, and it's like, well, you know, and it's because he's the one that tells the story. Like it became this huge obsession because he knew that in the first movie, the Candyman story that Helen found was different from the one that he knew because he saw the creation of his generation's Candyman. And he found all the other stories, and then it really did. He's like, there has to be a Candyman for every generation. The fact that he wanted to be part of creating it was definitely weird.
Well, he also tries to make his new creation into one of the old creations, because which one was it that they cut off the hand of the painter?
Yeah, that was the original Candyman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He did it in this one. The main guy, Anthony, was a painter, and he cut off his arm.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's so how everything's intertwined, because like if you're really just talking about telling that story, for the baby in that story to then grow and become Candyman, it's just insane. So that is a nice little loop that I don't know if he wanted to do that. I don't think so, because he probably didn't know Anthony was that baby. But
but it's
he moved away, so yeah.
I'd move away too far away.
Yeah.
That's kind of what brings you back to the power of suggestion, because none of this stuff would have happened if it wasn't suggested to the individual in the first place. You know, like Candyman would not have been brought back in full power if it wasn't the laundromat guy talking to the original baby. If the baby didn't know, or Anthony didn't know that he was the baby, would he eventually become fully it? And then he never even heard of Candyman until the brother told him about it. So all of this stuff, and even the girl at the first movie, the main character, she, like, nothing would have happened to her if she didn't keep dwelling into Candyman type stuff. So it's almost like the power of suggestion is what gives him his power, that makes him so strong, that carries out all this stuff. And like, I didn't even find out he was the baby really until right before before he became Candyman. Like, but if he didn't well into the story and keep diving into it pretty much and learning about it and studying it, then he wouldn't have done all the pictures. He wouldn't have done all that stuff.
Do y'all remember the scene from the first one when Helen they're sitting down at dinner and then that pompous dude was like, I know everything about Candyman. Basically just spit all over her paper. That hurt. She was doing so much.
Yeah, and he's just like, whatever. There's no way you know as much as I do.
And then he's like, you don't even know his name. I'm like, damn, Helen, you are gonna get an F on this. What is going on? She didn't even know the real story. Like you all down in the projects and you didn't even Google. You couldn't even access, man. Like,
well, I mean, it was 1992, so Google wasn't really a thing yet.
That's true.
So she did have to do her research differently.
Yeah, but yeah, that always caught me, just like because she wanted to. First of all, she did way too much for college or doctorates. I've never gotten a doctorate, so more power to all y'all. But I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing all that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, the whole thesis or dissertation, depending on if you're doing like, I think it's a thesis for a master's and the dissertation is for the doctorates. But like the amount of work and research and everything that goes into one of those, I'm like, I think I made the right decision not getting a master's.
Yeah. And then
she's writing letters for work. I don't think I could write a whole thesis that's like 200 pages.
Her thesis took this blonde-haired white woman down into the projects of Chicago. Like,
seems like a great place.
Yeah, and then she wrote this little kid into being her tour guide. Like, it was just, it's all crazy.
That kid was like, when she went into the public bathroom and then he turned behind himself, he was like, I'm done. Like, we're done.
I think Mike has it right. Buy your doctorate on eBay for $9.99.
Yeah. Like, I'm definitely not doing that. And then, like, what were you gonna do with this? Like, what was the plan after this, Helen? I want to know what you were gonna do. Like,
the back college education, so
messed up that kid's life because now he's just like, well, not so much. Well, yeah, because now he looks like he's a snitch because he was in the police station with the white lady that got beat up by the gang. So he's got problems.
Yeah, I mean, you know that's not going to end well for him. And she's like, it'll be fine. And he's like, I'm not talking because I know it won't be fine.
Exactly.
He's like, I'll give you $20. You want to show me around the projects? Like, what is going? Like, I just don't know what Helen's thought process was.
I mean, I grew up in a suburban, mostly white neighborhood, and I knew not to snitch on people. Like, you don't snitch on people. Like, even, like, no. So, like, if you're, like, in the projects, like, no.
Helen was at that lineup like that was him. Like, oh, okay.
In Sons of Anarchy, I know not to snitch.
Snitches get stitches.
Exactly.
It was crazy. I remember seeing it as a kid. I was like, my sister had to explain what it was. And I was like, she doing all this for homework? Homework? What? No, not me. Never me.
Although with all that, if she wasn't antagonized by the professor too.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I guess. Oh. Yeah. I mean, that was originally her paper anyway, although I feel like she kind of like, I don't know. Part of me kind of felt like she was throwing this all together last minute. I don't know.
Well, because she went in with just like she was going to talk about all the urban legends of that area, but then Candyman became the focus. But I definitely agree with what Bethany said, because if somebody antagonizes me like that, I'm going to be like, oh, really? Like, you think I can't do this? You think you're better than me? Like, somebody once told me I didn't look good in purple, and I literally wore nothing but purple for the rest of the semester. Like, I would have done what Helen did if somebody said something like that to me. Oh, there's no way you think you're better than me? You don't think I can do as good on my thesis as you did on yours? I'll show you.
So
We'll
you're
see
gonna
who's
be in
the
this
witch now.
abandoned apartment building, stepping through Candyman's mouth like I'm gonna fix him. He's gonna
Exactly.
learn.
Oh, this looks like an altar
We'll
where
go-
somebody was sacrificed. Like, what do I need to do here?
I bet he doesn't have any of these blood pictures. Like, I met with the gang and everything.
We had some late
man.
night talks.
Yeah. They brought me in as one of their people.
I'm the leader now.
Oh,
Man.
okay. So spite and anger drove her to it. I understand
Pretty
now.
much.
Yeah,
Late
think
to that.
so.
So well.
Oh, Mike
man.
likes purple. I do too.
Yeah, purple's my favorite color.
Mine too.
Right? Well, Sylvester's like basked in the glow of purple right now.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I love my office purple. It helps me focus.
It's a good calming color.
It
Mhm.
is. Royalty, right? Purple, the color of royalty.
It is.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm. There you go. All right. Well, we're coming up on the hour right there, so we probably should come to a close pretty soon.
I feel like this
Yeah.
conversation could keep going if we
We
didn't
totally
stop it.
It really could. It really could.
Maybe we'll do a part 2. Talk about all the sequels that were sequels. I don't know. We could go into those.
I mean,
Well,
we'll talk about all the things women do out of spite when a man says they're better.
Sylvester's like, I support you.
oh man.
All right. Well, Sylvester, do you have anything coming up you want to promote or push or anything?
I probably should, right?
You always got
Mm.
stuff. What you working on?
I am working on the pirate zombie apocalypse book called Dead Soil. That'll be coming out next year with Darklit Press. I am also working on a vampire apocalyptic story set in New York City. That's called Youngblood. And that I want that to come out this year, but I also have that with a small press. So that's kind of up to them. And however fast I get these edits in, because I've been dragging. And yeah. And I think that's all I got going on. A lot of Planet Dead collections to sign and stuff and send out to people. Your books are coming. I apologize.
Where can we find?
Oh, you can find me at my website, www.sylvesterbarzy.com, or all over social media with the same handle. It's right there at Sylvester Barzy. So I'm everywhere, same handle, make it simple. I'm probably the only Sylvester Barzy, except for that one dude, but I think he's trying to steal my identity, so I'm not too sure.
Oh, so be careful which Sylvester Barzy you're finding out there.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm not the one with the sunglasses. I don't wear sunglasses.
Look for the guy with the purple background.
Yeah.
Are you going to submit to the Weird Kids anthology?
Yeah, most likely.
Okay.
I know I have like one short story that's already done that I've just been waiting to put into an anthology, and then I have a whole bunch that I want to write. Like I got this one where it's like the zombie apocalypse, and dad who has a daughter who's on like the transplant list for a heart thing decides to steal the list of the people that got the transplant and kidnap a doctor. And then he's like going down to steal people's hearts to save his daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's my game plan for that one.
All right.
Nice, nice.
Well, for anyone who is interested, we are still accepting submissions for the Weird Anthology. Just message Rich Restucci. Yeah, I believe it's Rich that you message.
Mhm.
So details can be found on weirdrealitiesnetwork.com. Crystal, do you have a show coming up?
For the Weird Murders, Mystery, and Mayhem, it's going to be, I think, a little bit later next month. But it's we're going to talk about the Black Dahlia murder. And Sylvester, if you want to join in, you can. I saw that one.
I love Black Dahlia.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's definitely so many theories and everything out there. So we're still trying to confirm the exact date for next month's show. But that's the one we have coming up.
Nice.
See you, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks
Well,
for tuning in, Mike. Sorry we were delayed. We'll try better next time.
Technology, that's my goal.
Technology.
All right. Well, thank you, Sylvester, so much for being on.
Thank you
and
for having me.
yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, all right.
I think this was definitely one of our more fun episodes. So thank you
Mhm.
for joining in and helping us out there.
Most definitely. I always love being here.
It's
I was
always
here
a
for the
pleasure to
first
have
one.
you here. It's always a good time.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, we will see you folks next time on Blondes, Books, and Campfire Tales.